First night that I met you, I didn't know what to say.
What's going on, Facebook, IntellectualRadio.com, and iHeart listeners? You are tuned in to Just Fans Talking Sports, where the voice of the fan matters, and I am your host, EJ. Feel free to Just Fans Talking Sports on our Facebook group page, where we conversate and debate sports 24/7. Yes, sir, 24/7. You can also follow Just Fans Talking Sports on our Twitter page at JF Talking Sports, and you can follow me, EJ, on Twitter at Sports with EJ. Feel free to call in at 708-223-8953. Again, that number is 708-223-8953. And remember this, to our Facebook group page, Just Fans Talking Sports family. You can leave live comments on the Facebook group page, and I will try my best to read all of the comments, but I definitely will be reading the comments. So again, our show is based upon our interactions throughout the week on our Just Fans Talking Sports group page. So, hey, I'm ready. When you guys are, I see I have someone joined in. That's my lovely wife. How you doing, lovely wife? You taking care of those 4 kids for me? Yes, I know you are. Greatly appreciate you. All right, so let's get into some sports talk. First and foremost, I have to say this. It feels good to be back on the air. It feels good to be back with the IntellectualRadio.com family. And, this is where I feel comfortable at as far as talking sports. And you know what? This is just another extension of the Just Fans Talking Sports brand that will be launching in January of 2017. So please look out for us. So I'm ready to get into some good sports conversation right now. Let's jump into our college football conversation. College football, everyone knows that the college football playoffs are about to begin, and right now we have conference championships games going on. Last night, Washington took care of business in the Pac-12 or the Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever you want to call it now, in the conference championship game. So Washington has secured their playoff spot. Washington has secured their playoff spot. They're one of the top 4 teams, and I'm getting ready to read off in a few seconds. And let me go ahead and read those now. Right now, the top 4 teams in the college playoff. If the playoffs started today, would be Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Washington. Now, the team that's very intriguing is the Clemson Tigers, because today they play number 23. Yeah, the 23rd ranked team in the nation, Virginia Tech. So if Clemson defeats Virginia Tech, Clemson would be in. However, if Clemson was to stumble and lose that game, which I don't think is going to happen, I actually think Clemson will blow out Virginia Tech tonight. Yes, I'm predicting that. But if Clemson stumbles, the question would be, who would be the 4th team to take that 4th spot in the college playoffs? And the fact that I'm asking that question, to me, is the reason why we need 8 teams in the playoffs. Now, the NCAA, I know the NCAA is all about education, but when it comes to college sports, they have shown over time that it's all about money. It's all about ratings. So to me, you only increase your ratings when you increase the number of teams to 8. 4 to me is too short. It's too little. You need 8 teams, and I believe that if they had 8 teams right now, it would be a very, very prolific, playoffs. A lot more exciting, a lot more interesting. And if they have 4 teams, I would, in my opinion, the Michigan Wolverines should be in the Michigan Wolverines should be in the final 8. Also, I would say Oklahoma and Oklahoma State should be in that final 8. And then the winner of the Penn State Wisconsin game today should be in the final 8. So again, I believe that they should go ahead and go to 8 teams. 4 teams is I'm glad they got away from the BCS bowl game and all that, and they actually are doing playoffs. But I believe that they should have 8 teams in the playoffs, and hopefully this is something that can be negotiated and added on, if not next year, the year after that, because again, this is a perfect year why 8 teams should be in it. Now, the one thing before I move on off this topic that I really don't understand at all is how the Ohio State Buckeyes, now I do understand it. Ohio State right now is currently the number 2 ranked team in the nation. They only have 1 loss, but that 1 loss came to the Penn State Nittany Lions. So if the Penn State Nittany Lions were to defeat the Wisconsin Badgers in the Big Ten championship, you're going to have the Big Ten champion potentially not make the playoffs to play for the opportunity to win a national championship. And to me, that makes no sense whatsoever. So if Penn State wins tonight and Clemson loses, of course Penn State should be in it. But then you have those that argue that Michigan should be in it because Michigan's the better team. No, they should not. Penn State should be in, and Penn State should be in anyway because they defeated Ohio State head-to-head. They won the head-to-head matchup. And I know that Penn State had 2 losses, but if Penn State was to win tonight and become the Big Ten champion, how could you justify leaving Penn State out of the Final Four, which is why you need 8 teams. It's a perfect reason why you need 8 teams. So hopefully that gets done very, very soon. Moving on. Did you all check out LeBron James last night coming to the United Center with the Chicago Cubs baseball gear on? LeBron James looked like Jason Hayward to me, man. I'm looking at him earlier like, man, is that Jason Hayward? But LeBron James, for those who've been asleep, because I don't honestly, if you live, forget Chicago, if you're a sports fan, no, if you're just a person, there is no one in the world that did not hear about, read about, witness, view the Chicago Cubs win their first World Series since 1908. And LeBron James, who is from the state of Ohio, who plays professional basketball in Cleveland, made a bet with Dwayne Wade, who is from the Chicagoland area, and whichever team won the World Series, the other player will have to come to their matchup last night, December 3rd, with the opposing team's gear on. So if the Chicago Cubs would have lost to the Cleveland Indians, Dwayne Wade would have had to, when Dwayne Wade played Cleveland, when the Bulls played Cleveland, Dwayne Wade would have had to dress in his Cleveland Indians attire. But since since the Chicago Cubs defeated the Cleveland Indians, LeBron James came looking like Jason Hayward last night. He wasn't too happy about it. And I can say this, LeBron James, if you want a guaranteed championship, you might as well come on and and put on, join the Chicago Cubs, switch sports. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, he looked like Jason Hayward to me last night. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but LeBron James definitely has a lot of resemblance to Jason Hayward last night. And speaking of last night game, I was very impressed with the Chicago Bulls. I'm not going to go into too much detail about NBA right now because later on in one of our last segments, we will chop up the NBA. But last night, the Chicago Bulls, to me, and what Dwayne Wade called a measurement game, pretty much a measuring stick to see where the Chicago Bulls measure with the Cleveland Cavaliers. To me, the Chicago Bulls looked impressive. It looked very impressive. I'm not going to jump the gun and say that the Chicago Bulls can defeat the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 7-game series, in the playoffs. I'm not going to say that. I'm not ready to commit to that right now. Actually, I'm not ready to commit to that anyway because I believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers will represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. But I will say this: I like what I saw last night. You had the Big Three showed up. Rajon Rondo has been kind of iffy. He's having a disappointing season. But last night, Rajon Rondo messed around and got a triple-double. 15 points, 12 assists, 11 rebounds. Taj Gibson contributed with 23 points. Dwayne Wade found the fountain of youth again. He loves playing against his best friend, LeBron James. He produced 24 points. And Jimmy Butler had a game high for the Bulls of 26 points. So in my opinion, the Chicago Bulls, good case. They're making a very good case to be the second team out of the Eastern Conference. In the Eastern Conference, that is very, very, very wide open right now. And speaking of Jimmy Butler, according to ESPN stats and info, Jimmy Butler has now had 11 straight games where he has posted 20 or more points. That is the longest streak by any Chicago Bulls player since a man by the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan, who accomplished that feat in 1998. So let's think about this for a second, because I have a lot of people on our Facebook page, and I'm quite sure they'll be chiming in real soon. But I have a lot of people in our Facebook page that They don't believe in Jimmy Butler. They say that Jimmy Butler is overrated. He was one of the reasons that the Chicago favorite, the Chicago Sun, Derrick Rose, ran out of town. And we're not going to get on Derrick Rose today because I can do a lot of conversation about Derrick Rose in the New York Knicks, which is to me the most overrated franchise in NBA history, by the way. And I have stats to back that up. I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, but hey. But going back to Jimmy Butler, people just don't, for some reason, they don't appreciate what Jimmy Butler is doing. And later on, I will get into Jimmy Butler's stats. But the fact that Jimmy Butler is consistently scoring over 20 points a game, right now, currently, Jimmy Butler is rated in the he's ranked top 10 in the player efficiency rating, which shows that he's really a very efficient player. He's not just scoring; he's helping the Bulls in various ways. He's one of the league leaders at getting to the free throw line. He's one of the league leaders in free throw percentage. He's one of the best defenders in the NBA. So I don't understand where some of the hate comes from Jimmy Butler. Can people help me understand why does Jimmy Butler receive so much hatred, even within Chicago? Let it go, people. Derrick Rose is no longer here, and Jimmy Butler is now the face of this organization. According to Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler was a big reason why he chose to come back home, because if Jimmy Butler did not embrace him or was open to Dwayne Wade coming to the Bulls, he would never came here anyway. He would never showed up. He would never be wearing the beautiful red and white of the Chicago Bulls, red, black, and white of the Chicago Bulls. So Jimmy Butler, he had to learn how to be a leader. He's and according to Dwayne Wade, this is, you can go Google it. Google Dwayne Wade comments on Jimmy Butler. He's pretty much saying that he's mentoring, to paraphrase, he's mentoring Jimmy Butler because in his opinion, Jimmy Butler is on his way to becoming a Hall of Fame player, and he wants to see Jimmy Butler accomplish great things. This Chicago Bulls brother. They attended the same university. So Dwayne Wade is very vested in Jimmy Butler, and he's doing something great as mentoring Jimmy Butler, teaching Jimmy Butler, showing Jimmy Butler the ropes, teaching him how to be a great leader. Some things that he did also for LeBron James. So again, I don't understand where some of the hate's coming from for Jimmy Butler, but I'll tell you this. Chicago fans, NBA fans, you're going to appreciate Jimmy Butler, because Jimmy Butler, I believe, is going to be a top 5 player as far as in the MVP, the MVP race at the end of the year. I mean, he's the highest scorer on the Chicago Bulls, the best defender on the Chicago Bulls. And again, according to D Wade, he's the best player on the Chicago Bulls and one of the best players in the league. And the numbers definitely back that claim up. Moving on to another hot topic, the NFL. I have a few points I want to make, about things that's going on in the NFL world. Rob Gronkowski, to me, the best tight end in the NFL, is injured once again. He is now undergoing his ninth. I will repeat, his ninth surgery in 8 years. His ninth surgery in 8 years. Now think about that for a second. You have a great player. I mean, if you look at the guy, on the field, he's a monster. If you ever see pictures with his shirt off, he takes very, very good care of his body. He's in shape. I just understand why he continues to get injured. It's a reason why he was drafted lower than he was projected to be drafted, because of his injury history in college. So you have Rob Gronkowski out for 8 weeks. How does that affect the New England Patriots, a team that a lot of people believe is the odds-on favorite to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl? Will it affect the New England Patriots? Well, before I get to that question, I want to ask this. Do we believe that Rob Gronkowski's injury history will prevent him from making the Hall of Fame one day? And at first, my answer was no, because you look at the numbers that Gronkowski, he's put up historical numbers, not just in New England Patriots history, but in NFL history. When he plays, he dominates the game. I believe he had a streak this year of a 3-game streak where he put up over 100 yards and I believe like 5 touchdowns. So Rob Gronkowski, in my opinion, is definitely the best tight end in the NFL. However, we have an issue though. Will injuries prevent him from making the Hall of Fame? And right now, I would hate to say this, but I would say yes. Despite the Super Bowl, despite winning the Super Bowl, despite being the best tight end in the NFL, he has had 9 surgeries, 9 major surgeries. So it's a question if Rob Gronkowski can even survive another 2 years of being a top elite player in the NFL. Of course, if he has Tom Brady playing with him, which Tom Brady is getting up there in the age himself, if he has Tom Brady, he can produce some very, very, very spectacular numbers, because there are numbers that back up that Tom Brady, pretty much without Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady appears to be an average quarterback. But when Rob Gronkowski is on the field, Tom Brady has over 100 quarterback rating. So Rob Gronkowski is a major factor in the success of the New England Patriots. And will this injury affect Rob Gronkowski's NFL Hall of Fame bid one day? And I know he doesn't care about that right now. But if the injuries continue to occur, which appears to be a common factor and a consistent factor in the career of Rob Gronkowski, unfortunately, that answer may be yes. But would this affect, more importantly for the New England Patriots in the NFL season this year, will it affect the New England Patriots' quest to win a Super Bowl? In my opinion, no. Now, it depends on Rob Gronkowski's counterpart at tight end, Martellus Bennett, the former Chicago Bear. If Martellus Bennett, who is actually dealing with some injuries himself, he's dealing with a very annoying ankle and back injury. If he's able to come back, return to the field, and 80% health for the playoffs, I believe that the New England Patriots will not miss a beat at all. Check out these numbers from Martellus Bennett this year. He's had 42 receptions, 540 yards, and 4 touchdowns, and he's averaging 12.86 yards per catch. So if Rob Gronkowski, which he probably won't be, he's out for 8 weeks, and not put him on the injury reserve just in case something miraculous happened or he's able to show up for the Super Bowl. But if not, if Martellus Bennett is healthy, he is very capable of not producing at the same level as Rob Gronkowski, but he's able to produce at a very, very high level, which, in my opinion, will keep the New England Patriots on task to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. Also, another quick nugget from the NFL, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, he is balling this year. He is in line to make a whole lot of money. What do I mean by that? Because of his play. Kirk Cousins is averaging 362 yards, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, 0 interceptions, and 124.4 passer rating in his last 3 games. This is now those numbers combined with the numbers, with his total numbers this year. Kirk Cousins is in line for a big payday. But if the Washington Redskins do not wish to pay Kirk Cousins a huge amount of money, a big contract, then guess what's going to happen? Poor Kirk Cousins. He's going to be under the franchise tag for another year. Yes, that's right. Last year, Kirk Cousins, after throwing for over 4,200 yards, he received a franchise tag of $19.9 million. I'm gonna repeat that. He received a franchise tag of $19.9 million, and all of that money is guaranteed. So if the Redskins choose they elect not to sign him to a long-term deal, then guess what? Kirk Cousins will receive $23.94 guaranteed $1 million. I will repeat that. $23.94 guaranteed $1 million. If you add those numbers up, that's a guaranteed of $43 million over 2 years. Over 2 years. So if he does not receive an extension, a long-term contract, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's guaranteed $43 million. Could you imagine that, Earl, coming to work and you're guaranteed $43 million? You said you would take it, right? I'll take it as well. Think about that for a second. Let me put this in context for us, for us layman people, right? Us normal, everyday working citizens. What if your job says, no matter what your performance is, because of what you've done in the past, it doesn't matter if you're injured and you're off for 8 weeks, doesn't matter if you're late to work. Next year, I am guaranteeing you a salary of I don't know. Let's throw a number out there. $430,000. Would you take that deal? No matter what, you show up to work, you're guaranteed $430,000, a salary of $430,000. Now, hey, to me, that regular normal person in society, we will take that deal. And that's what Kirk Cousins has played himself into. He's played himself into a very, very beautiful situation. Over $43 million guaranteed. Kirk Cousins, I wish I could trade places with you right now. I wish I was the quarterback for the Washington Redskins. And speaking of the Washington Redskins, everyone knows that their greatest rival is who? The Dallas Cowboys. So a big question is, are the Dallas Cowboys for real? A lot of people want to know, are the Dallas Cowboys for real? Are they a serious and a legit Super Bowl title contender? And in my opinion, yes, they are. Yes, they are. And I don't understand why people don't believe in them. Prescott is balling. Ezekiel Elliott is balling. Of course, Dez Bryant, one of the top 5 receivers in the NFL, is balling. A terrific, scary 3-headed monster. But what's also crazy is this. The offensive line. A young offensive line that was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys is the reason that Prescott, Elliott, and Bryant can shine the way they're shining. Along with a very good defense. The Dallas Cowboys defense is currently ranked 5th in the NFL. So you have a great defense along with a very young, talented offensive line that's helping the Dallas Cowboys produce numbers like this. They are 5th in the NFL in scoring at 27.8 points per game. And they also are 4th in terms of yards at 395.7 per game. So are the Dallas Cowboys for real? Yes, in my opinion, they are. My last point on the NFL before we break, the 1-10 San Francisco 49ers are playing the 2-9 Chicago Bears and what I like to call the need to lose bowl. The Chicago Bears, let's make no mistake about this. The Chicago Bears should lose this game. Now, I know people say that there's no such thing as tanking in sports, which I disagree with. Check out the Philadelphia 76ers of the NBA the last 5 years. I'm not going to accuse the Chicago Bears or any NFL team of tanking because the Chicago Bears or any NFL team is very dangerous in the sport of football to tank. You know, but I would say this though. I'm very happy that a lot of their players are injured because the problem with the Chicago Bears is this. If they were fully healthy and they continue to win games, I'm afraid that next year Jay Cutler is going to roll out. Be the starting quarterback in the Chicago Bears. And it's time to move on from Jay Cutler. The more games the Chicago Bears lose, guess what? The better position, the better draft position that you are in as a franchise. The Chicago Bears need to draft a game-changing potential franchise-leading quarterback. It's a quarterback. So the Chicago Bears continue to lose, and they put themselves at the end of the year in a position to have a top 3 draft pick. You know what? They can draft the best available quarterback. Or you know what? It's a team like the Tennessee Titans, who currently hold the 7th and 15th pick in the draft this year. They can trade down. They can have the 7th and 15th pick. At number 7, draft the best available player. Or at number 15, draft the quarterback. Or they can continue to draft down. Draft the best available player at 7. At 15, they can trade down again, collect more picks, draft the quarterback in the 2nd or 3rd round. But you can put yourself in the best position if they do not lose or if they do not win. So I know. No one's going to lose on purpose. But if the Chicago Bears continue to lose, which they are, I don't understand why any fan will root for the Bears this year to continue to win the game. Let's finish 2-14. Let's almost guarantee ourselves, because no matter how bad we are, we won't be Cleveland Browns bad. But let's try to put ourselves in the best position to draft a quarterback, to accumulate more draft picks so that the Chicago Bears can finally catch up with the rest of the NFL. And for example, the Dallas Cowboys a couple years ago was a laughing stock. They drafted well. Contrary to popular belief, they drafted well. They executed their draft picks very, very well. And look at the position the Cowboys in, because in the NFL, you could change a very good draft, a key free agent signing. You can turn your fortunes around very, 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 very fast. When we come back from the break, we're going to discuss some boxing and Conor McGregor. You are tuned in to Just Fans Talking Sports with the voice of the fan matters on IntellectualRadio.com.
Never before. Like never before. Like never before.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You are tuned in to Just Fans Talking Sports with the voice of the fan matters on IntellectualRadio.com, also an iHeartRadio station. So let's get into this Conor McGregor. We'll talk a little bit of boxing, a little bit of MMA, okay? Let's get into this Conor McGregor talk, okay? Now, Conor McGregor, for the sake of time, pretty much has been calling out Floyd Mayweather. He wants to fight Floyd Mayweather. He wants $100 million contract. So Conor McGregor, instead of defending his belt, and I get what Conor's saying. Conor is taking some time away from MMA, to be there for his wife. His girlfriend, who's because they're expecting a son or they're expecting a child soon. So he wants to take some time away from the sport, step away from the sport, to be there. And he doesn't want to put his girlfriend through the stress, do a lot of stress while his child is about to be born. Which sounds very, 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 it's good. And this sounds very noble, and I applaud it, especially since my beautiful wife just gave birth to my fourth child, actually my fourth daughter. Yes, you heard me right, my fourth daughter. So you guys keep me in your prayers. Give me your prayers. I want some for Christmas. I'm gonna need some shotguns. Okay, I don't promote violence, but I'm gonna need some shotguns. I got four beautiful girls. But anyway, Conor McGregor is very noble. And I'm actually a fan of Conor McGregor in the cage. I'm a fan of Conor McGregor. However, the only issue I have is this. He just obtained a boxing license to box in the state of California. Now, people say, what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. He's positioned himself for a $100 million fight with Floyd Mayweather Jr. And to me, which doesn't make any sense. So, look, listen. We can chop this up later on. We can chop this up in more detail later on and some more shows, and continue to follow us on Just Fans Talking Sports group page throughout the week. We've had a lot of debates about this. Floyd Mayweather Jr. in a boxing match destroys Conor McGregor. It's not even close. If you watch the tape, go to YouTube or Google Conor McGregor sparring in California. He looks terrible as a boxer. He's not a boxer. He's an MMA fighter. And if you put Floyd Mayweather Jr., who's on the record by saying that those guys are crazy, he would never get in the MMA cage at all because he respects the UFC. He respects the sport of MMA. If he ever changes his mind, which he won't, if he gets in that cage with Conor McGregor, that fight is over in 10 seconds, 10, 15 seconds. So why as boxing fans do we want to see Conor McGregor fight Floyd Mayweather Jr.? To me, it makes no sense whatsoever. Makes no sense. Conor destroys Floyd in MMA. He's not going to disrespect the sport and apply for an MMA license. He's not trying to train to be an MMA fighter because he understands what's going to happen. So Floyd is a smart businessman. People are saying he's scared. No, he's smart. He's smart. Why would you step in the MMA cage thinking that you're gonna fight? Not just look. If Floyd stepped foot in the MMA cage with a mediocre MMA fighter, he gets destroyed. Let alone one of the top 10 pound for pound UFC fighters in the sport today, or MMA fighters in the sport today. It doesn't make any sense. But Conor McGregor feels that he can disrespect the sport of boxing and try to work his way into the boxing, and he wants $100 million. Listen, there's not too many boxers that are receiving $100 million. Matter of fact, there's no boxers that's receiving $100 million outside of Floyd Mayweather Jr., who's currently retired. Canelo may get there at some point if him and Gennady Golovkin eventually fight. But for Conor to think he's going to step in the ring and even stand a chance with Floyd, which he doesn't. He's smart. He knows that he would be defeated very easily. But it's $400 million. But as boxing fans, we should feel disrespected. It's a fight that we should not want to see whatsoever. I don't want to see that. Why? Especially when the sport of boxing needs their best boxers to fight each other, which leads me to Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. Right? There are people saying that Canelo was afraid of Triple G. I disagree with that. What I believe is this: is that Canelo, because he called Triple G to the ring, he called him out. He said pretty much, I'm gonna give you a clean version, an edited version. Us Mexicans don't mess around. That's the edited version. That's the clean version. So he called him out and said, we can box right now. We can fight right now. Let's go. He's a Mexican warrior. He's not afraid to box anyone, and I believe him. But what I believe is this. This is what I believe, is that Golden Boy, led by Oscar De La Hoya, right? Who, by the way, criticized Floyd Mayweather Jr. for prolonging the Manny Pacquiao fight. He wants to prolong the fight with Triple G for more money because he knows that there's a good chance that his guy may lose in the ring. So you know what? Let's go ahead and milk. And then if Canelo fights Triple G, when Triple G's 35, 36 years old, and if he loses, okay, he lost. It'll be, we are raking a whole lot of money. Canelo will probably be making Floyd Mayweather Jr. money by that time. And if you lose, okay, hey, big payday. We call it for a rematch. And our guy is younger. We believe he's stronger, and he can probably have a chance to defeat him in a rematch. And to me, that's bad for the sport of boxing. And I agree, Scott Josh Jr. of our Facebook group page, Just Fans Talking Sports Facebook group page, stated that Floyd brings the money. No need for Floyd to step into that circus fight. I agree. And boxing fans, we should be demanding Triple G versus Canelo Alvarez. That's the fight that we should see. I just wish that, like Floyd Mayweather Jr., I wish that Canelo Alvarez would take more control of his career and say, you know what? Screw everybody else you're trying to put in front of me. I'm moving to 160. I'm fighting the guy that everyone wants me to fight because right now, Triple G ego is getting very, 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 very bruised right now. His reputation is taking a hit right now. Why? Because people believe that he's afraid to fight Triple G. It's a fight that should happen. Let's not have a Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather Jr., long drawn-out dance again. And speaking of Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr., look, I don't want to see a rematch of that. What's the point? What's the point of, there are talks that a rematch may be in works. What is the point? I've always said this. 10 years ago, Floyd Mayweather wins. 5 years ago, Floyd Mayweather wins. We saw what happened when they fought. And I know there are people out there who slowed down the video, the video footage of the fight, and they shown Mayweather miss a lot of shots, and they shown Pacquiao connect on shots. Well, how about this? You're not fooling any intelligent boxing fan. How about watching it live, right, and showing video of the entire fight? Floyd Mayweather Jr. won that fight. And the reason why I believe that Floyd Mayweather Jr. will win again and he'll win 10 times out of 10 versus Manny Pacquiao is because Manny Pacquiao has just recently, in the last 3 or 4 years, I would say 3 years, improved as a defensive fighter. Manny Pacquiao was all firepower. Attack. He's wonderful on angles. One of the best fighters fighting on angles. Wonderful footwork. But his head movement was terrible. Terrible. And Floyd Mayweather Jr., that straight right hand, vicious left hook, which he was more vicious when he was younger. When it ate Manny Pacquiao for dinner, he would have been quicker and faster. It would have been an easy fight for Floyd. It would have been an easy fight. So as boxing fans, we shouldn't want to see. We shouldn't demand a Floyd Mayweather Jr. Manny Pacquiao fight. Why? I'm interested in seeing Kovalev Ward Part 2, which, by the way, and I'm a fan of both fighters, right? I'm a unbiased boxing fan. I appreciate all styles. There's no way in the world that Andre Ward won that fight. He didn't win that fight. He didn't win the fight. Kovalev was the champ. He knocked Ward down early, and even though the first 6 rounds, it was all Kovalev. Round 7 to 12, you're not going to convince me that Ward won all those rounds. Or actually, according to the cards, People there, the judges rounds 5 through 12 won more rounds. Yes, Kovalev slowed down a little bit. He was getting gassed out. Ward was beating him to a punch a lot. However, he didn't knock Kovalev down. And Kovalev still landed. He still landed some very good power punches. Still landed some very good combinations. And to me, he won round 12, the championship round. So how did Andre Ward win that fight? I disagree. I disagree with the outcome of the fight. I would love to see the rematch, but it shouldn't be on pay-per-view, by the way. They're talking about the fight being on pay-per-view. No, the fight. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the fight didn't do very well on pay-per-view numbers. The only fights that deserve pay-per-view are like mega fights, right? Triple G, Canelo, that's pay-per-view. Ward, Kovalev proved that's not pay-per-view. I don't want to see that fight on pay-per-view. It should be on HBO. And as a matter of fact, it's smart to have it on HBO and Showtime to show their fighters and get away from a lot of pay-per-view and reserve pay-per-view for the mega fights, the fights of the centuries, the fights, the fights that match the best against the best after it's been built up for some time. That's how you get the pay-per-view numbers to increase. And how you build your sport. You build your brand by what? By having boxers, the top boxers in your sport, the up-and-coming boxers in your sport, have those fighters be marketed better by having not necessarily free fights, but you can have the fights. What I mean by free is have them on free network, like the Premier Boxing Champions, which, in my opinion, they have for every good fight, they have 40 terrible fights. 40 terrible fights. So you gotta match up the up and coming fighters or the best fighters with each other and have it on HBO without the pay-per-view attached. Have it on Showtime without the pay-per-view attached. That can build your sport up. No one wants to see Manny Pacquiao versus Vargas, as a pay-per-view fight. No. Terrence Crawford versus Victor Postol, which hardcore boxing fans know that was potentially a very good fight. It wasn't pay-per-view worthy. It wasn't pay-per-view worthy at all, and that's what hurts the sport of boxing. Too many fights on pay-per-view. People are not spending $49, $59, $69 for fighters that they don't know a lot about at all. Outside of the hardcore boxing fans, you're not getting the casual boxing fans. You're not drawing fans in whatsoever. So boxing needs to learn from in my opinion, UFC have a lot of very good fights on just regular network television, or have some fights on primetime television. Build the sport that way. It's going to cause for the promoters to work, promotional companies to work together, cable companies to work together, television, live television networks, companies to work together. But if you want to spread the sport of boxing and increase the views on the sport of boxing, that's something that must be done. Darian Snowden, I disagree. Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman, it's not pay-per-view. Now, if that fight produces, like I believe it will, a lot of fireworks, then maybe. But no, it's fine where it's at. It's how you grow the sport. Let your young, talented athletes, the young, talented athletes that's getting ready to take over the sport, you want to show them as many times as possible for free, or if you have a subscription to HBO or Showtime. That's how you're gonna go to the sport of boxing. Floyd Mayweather Jr., Manny Pacquiao, not a fight I want to see. Canelo Alvarez, Triple G, a fight everyone wants to see. That's pay-per-view worthy. Manny Pacquiao versus Terrence Crawford, good fight, very good fight. Still not pay-per-view. Build the brand of Terrence Crawford. It's not just up to his promotional company, but it's up to the sport of boxing to build the brand of Terrence Crawford. So casual fans will tune in to a pay-per-view fight a year or 2 years down the line. And before we get off our boxing topic, I just want to give y'all Just Fans Talking Sports top 10 pound for pound boxing list right now. Roman Gonzalez to me is the number 1 pound for pound boxer in the world. Number 2, Triple G. 3, Andre Ward, only because he technically beat Sergey Kovalev, but Kovalev, who in my opinion, Just Fans Talking Sports, the number 4 pound for pound fighter in the world, which I believe he will win the rematch and jump back up to number 2. Terrence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, Vasyl Lomachenko, Rigondeaux, Manny Pacquiao, and Shinsuke Yamanaka rounds out the top 10 pound-for-pound boxers in the opinion of Just Fans Talking Sports. My next five up, Carl Frampton, Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, Deontay Wilder. Then you also have Inoue. So those are the next five up. But that is the Just Fans Talking Sports top 10 pound-for-pound boxers right now in the sport of boxing. And again, we want to grow the sport of boxing. We want to give these fighters, because a lot of people haven't ever heard of those names. The only way you grow the sport of boxing is by what? Showing more fights more frequently. And it cannot be on pay-per-view. It needs to be on HBO, Showtime, CBS, ESPN. Promotional companies work together. Let's grow a great sport of boxing. When we return from our last and final break, we will quickly discuss the Cubs and White Sox and have a little bit of NBA conversation. You are tuned in to Just Fans Talking Sports on IntellectualRadio.com.
Never before. Like never before. Like never before. Like never before. Never before. Like never before.
Welcome back. This is EJ, and you are listening to Just Fans Talking Sports on IntellectualRadio.com, also an iHeart radio station. Now we're going to do a little bit of NBA talk before we end our show today. But before we go there, I have to say this. It was a very hot topic throughout the Chicago sports world, that it was leaked out that the Chicago White Sox would not trade with the Chicago Cubs for silly reasons. And again, follow us on our Just Fans Talking Sports group page. And there's a lot of posts in a very detailed post, by yours truly, that addresses that. But for the sake of time, a rumor kind of leaked out that the Chicago White Sox did not want to trade with the Chicago Cubs. They couldn't stand the thought of Chris Sale or Jose Quintana pitching for the Chicago Cubs and helping them win another World Series. Listen, the city of Chicago, as far as baseball, belongs to the Chicago Cubs, and I'm a fan of both. I'm a fan of both. And I know people say, how can you be a fan of both? But I am a fan of both. And Rick Hahn, who did an excellent job of convincing Kenny Williams and Jamie Rosdorf to blow this thing up, trade his best players, starting with the second best left-hander in all of baseball, probably the top five pitcher in all of baseball. You trade him, you bring it back 4 or 5 good prospects. You trade Quintana, you bring it back maybe 3 good prospects. Trade Abreu, you bring it back a prospect or 2. Trade Frazier, you bring it back a prospect or 2. Trade Eaton, you bring it back a prospect or 2. And guess what? You can put yourself in a position to do what the Chicago Cubs just did, win the World Series. And we'll save all the Chicago Cubs talks for our next show. And we'll continue to talk to Chicago Cubs on our Facebook group page on Just Fans Talking Sports. But, however, I will say this, that the Chicago Cubs didn't close their eyes, didn't close their ears, didn't hang the phone up when certain teams called. I believe it was true. I believe that Jerry Reinsdorf and Kenny Williams can't stand the thought of trading Chris Sale to the Cubs. But I tell you what, right now, if you want to get better, you have the Dodgers. Very good. Dodgers, Red Sox, Rangers, Astros, very good farm systems. The Chicago Cubs, despite trading a lot of their prospects, for Chapman, bringing Montgomery over. They still have one of the top farm systems in all of baseball. Why would you not at least try to use the Cubs for leverage? It's silly. So I'm glad that Rick Hahn came out and said that it's not true, but I believe it. No, they're just saying that it's kind of a cleanup job, a PR cleanup job. Because if the Cubs would have offered you a very good deal, maybe you got Baez in that trade with three prospects, or a combination of Soler and maybe Al Moore Jr. with three prospects for Chris Sale. You mean to tell me you're gonna hang the phone up and not accept that deal? And I'm not saying it's a good deal for the Cubs, but you mean to tell me you want that any intelligent GM wouldn't accept that deal? It's ridiculous. The Cubs and White Sox should trade with each other. This is, like I always say, this is not game banging. This is not this is not Democrats versus Republicans. This is sports. If it's a player on your rival team that can make you better, guess what? You make the deal. Scott Josh Jr. says they already hurt leverage against other teams. They'll dare them to deal with the Cubs, and I agree with that. I agree. And to me, that's why Rick Hahn had to go out and clean it up. But it's already done. The fact that that's a thought in Kenny Williams and Jerry Reinsdorf's mind proves to me what I've been saying for a while as a White Sox fan. I'm a White Sox fan and Cubs fan. That, you know what? It's time for a change at the very top. You hired Rick Hahn to be the GM. Let him GM. Let him build a team. And he knows that, you know what, in order for us to compete for a World Series, we have to get younger. We have to catch up with the rest of Major League Baseball. So hopefully, I would love to see Chris Sale, by the way, in a Cubs uniform. I'd love to see it. So, or Jose Quintana. I'd love to see it. So hopefully that deal happens. Hopefully it happens. But I wouldn't hold my breath on it whatsoever. Let's get into some NBA talk before we wrap up our show. Right now, I put together a list of my personal top 10 pound for pound basketball players right now. Now, this is not an all-time great list because, of course, LeBron James will be number one on the list. All right? Yeah, I agree, Scott. Kenny Williams is Stone Age. But LeBron James is, in my opinion, he's already a top 5 player, top 5 or 6 player in NBA history. Yes, he is. Top 5 or top 6 player in NBA history already. So, of course, if we were doing a career list right now, he'd be number one on it. But right now, we're talking about right now. Who's your top 10 pound for pound NBA players in the NBA right now? Offense, defense, whatever. Whatever your definition is, who do you believe are the top 10 players in the NBA right now this season? Mine, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins, and this is where it got tough. Jimmy Butler, and then I had to choose between Chris Paul and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Chris Paul is one of the top. I believe he's top 5 in PER in the NBA, doing great things. But you know what? Antetokounmpo was putting up numbers that's never been produced as a total stat line. He's putting up numbers that's never been produced in NBA history. So I have to put right now. I'm putting him in over Chris Paul. That's my top 10. That's my top 10. Top 10 players in the NBA right now. And speaking of top 10 players in the NBA right now, one of the players I don't understand it. I respect Colin Cowherd of Fox Sports 1. I respect him. I respect him as an opinionist, very talented. But I'm hearing a lot of NBA experts, a lot of fans that are pretty much dismissing what Russell Westbrook is doing this year. I mean, he has 46 career triple doubles already. He's number 6 all time in triple doubles. We're talking about a guy who's 6'3", the most athletic and most dominant point guard to ever play the game. They say the best, but the most athletic and most dominant point guard to ever play the game. Why are people hating on him so much? Why? I don't understand it. He ran Kevin Durant out of town. You know what? Kevin Durant wanted to win an easy championship. It's his decision. It's his choice. Kevin Durant wanted to win the championship. The Warriors are young. He didn't think that the Thunder were deep enough to defeat the Warriors, so he joined one of his BFFs, Draymond Green, and joined the Warriors to win the championship. Hey, I get it, but to knock Russell Westbrook because of that is silly. It's silly. It's just plain silly. He's doing things that's never been done in NBA history. He's averaging a triple-double, people. Repeat that. Rewind. He's averaging a triple-double. A triple-double. And we could talk about Westbrook more on our, Just Fan Talking Sports Facebook group page. But quickly, I want to get to some of you guys' comments real quick. I see some of the top 10. Let me see. I see some of the top 10. Let me see who we got. Scott Josh, you have the Greek Freak, Butler, Towns, and B on the. Oh, they're not your top 10. You said they're on the rise. I agree, but Greek, to me, Antetokounmpo is top 10 right now. He's top 10 right now. Who else? Well, Darian Snowden, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, James Harden, Kevin Durant. Those are your top 5 right now. Good list. Good list. If you were to check out the NBA's player efficiency rating page, you can see why I made my top 10 my top 10. So check that out. Insider.espn.com. It's been a joy being back on the air. Chopping up sports with you. This is EJ of Just Fans Talking Sports. Look, feel free, continue to follow us on our Just Fans Talking Sports group page, and I will see you at our next show. And I'll talk to you this week on Just Fans Talking Sports. Just Fans Talking Sports on IntellectualRadio.com. Peace.
Like never before.